is doing. Strain status, there you go. A little bit further down. There you go. Okay, so it's actually made very good progress. 10% done in an hour is outstanding. That's partly because there's no other load on the realm. If we were doing reads and writes and stuff, it would take a longer time. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is simulate the replacement of that drive in ASU 1.2. So we pretended like it had a predicted failure on one of the drives. So we didn't have to halt it. Let's set the LEDs to flash on that node. Okay. If you have a, would you like to open a pan-cli session, or would you like me to run the command to blink the actual drive, flash the actual drive? Yep. Okay, the command is syscontrol, SYSCONTROL, space node, space the ASU that we're replacing out. So I believe that's ASU -1, 2. Space drive, space, let's say it was 6, space LED, space locate. Okay, good. Okay. You don't have to turn this off, because if we replace the drive, it would no longer be flashing, but we're going to turn it off anyway. So because we're not replacing the drive. Let's save command. Instead of locate, we're going to turn it to normal. Okay. So let's say we went into the server room, we unlatched the drive, we pulled it out, we put in the new drive. So what's the next thing that we need to do? First of all, let's go back to the node detail page in the GUI and verify that that drive is now good. I mean, we didn't do anything to it. It was never bad, but we're going to check anyway. All good. Yes. And now we want to stop the LEDs. Okay. Now that node is in failed state. There's nothing we can do to the drives to bring it out of failed state. Also, given the fact that it now has an inconsistent file system, if it booted with that state, it would say, I've got inconsistent data on my drive. It would set its property to plus failed. So what are we going to do to resolve that? Generally, I'm not asking for the exact command.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay. Reinitialize.
that's right. And we can only do that where?
Through the terminal.
That's right. So syscontrol node, same node, ASU1, 2. By the way, let's just do a sysmap just like that and return. Oh, I'm sorry, sysmap node, SU1. So instead of control, it's map. There you go. So we can see that indeed we have the right node. We don't really want to reinitialize the wrong. So now it's syscontrol node ASU1, 2 space reinit. And by the way, cursor up usually works. Oh, it depends. Yeah. REINIT. Yeah, there you go. That went ahead and executed without a confirmation because the realm knows that it is in an appropriate state to be reinitialized. They've actually taught reinitialization that don't reinitialize when it's online. You can reinitialize when it's in reconstruction, which I wish that it required a confirmation. All right, so let's now look at the GUI. And see what has happened to that node slot. Yeah. And that error was actually that page disappeared. So what does that signify? The realm's saying that's an empty slot, right?
Yep.
The realm has removed that node from its realm database. The node is currently laying down a new file system. And let's see. This thing's gone stale on me. Nah, it's rebooting. I was logging into the console. I immediately popped to the system D screens where it's stopping this, stopping that. So it is on its way down. I believe the reinitialization is faster because it, in fact, has the same matching drives. It doesn't have to verify the, all our drives are stamped, which means you cannot put a drive in there that you bought at Walmart. I won't say Radio Shack anymore because we know that they don't exist. It has to have come from the Panasas supplier. And I'm thinking if that we put in an odd drive that it has to do some verification because sometimes the reinitialization with a new drive takes a little bit longer. That was pretty quick. Spoon. Can you scroll down so we can see that enclosure? There we go. Just in case you wondered what this looks like, grab the share for just a minute. Where'd it go? There it is. This is where it is. It's sitting there in CPO post memory initialization, and it's going to sit there for a while. What it's doing is dealing with the NVDIMM. Scroll up. This is what I saw when this is when I powered it on. This was my history, so I didn't have to look up the command. And as soon as I logged in, I saw it jump to the shutdown screen. And then here we are into the boot screen. Went blank for just a minute while it was actually rebooting, and now it's sitting there in CPO post memory initialization. You, of course, would not see this if you had an SSH session. Only console will see show you this. Uh-oh, caught. My console is dead. The networking, go ahead and grab the screen again. The networking to our IPMI tends to be a little bit flaky. Thought that was a long time for it to be sitting there. And look what's shown up. Our node has shown up. Let's see what state it's in. Ah, look, and the time that we clicked on it, it came online. All right. So, and that's what we expected, right? If it booted into not responding, not activated, that would probably mean that somehow its file system was in plus failed. In PennFS version 2, sometimes that happens because there was a problem with verifying the drives. The corrective action is to SSH into it, remove the plus failed, reboot it again, and it works. But in PennFS OS version 3 and higher, that usually doesn't happen. Okay, let's go back to the hardware page. And let's scroll down. It looks all good. Let's go back to the blade set page. Set one detail. What has happened?
We have 12 OSDs online.
That's right. And how many available virtual spares?
Now 2.
Let's look at our capacity balancing rate.
Yep. So current
There is
imbalance
some.
is 1 hard drive's worth.
Yep. Okay. Now let's go to status and reports, storage statistics.
Sorry, say that again.
Status and reports,
Ah,
storage statistics. Yeah. And scroll down. Okay, so see, we're draining 2.1. I didn't think that drain and capacity balancing would run at the same time, but it is. It is. So, or, oh, well, actually, what's running is kind of drain, but we're saying, all right, ASD 1.2, you are the target OSD. So it's moving basically data from 2.2 that is draining to 1.2, which is pretty much empty. Okay, you can see that look at the reserve space. I mean, 1.2 that just got reinitialized isn't totally reserve space, but it pretty much actually it isn't totally reserve space. It's divided between the available space and the reserve space, but it has almost no data. And you can see that the reserve space is much higher than the other OSDs. And this is formula is a little bit complicated. We can't just say that this is all reserve space. We have to advertise a large space available. Otherwise, capacity balancing would not straighten that out. Okay, let's see. What else do we need to look at? All right.
so
I think that,
out
go
of
ahead.
curiosity, when it says imbalance, is that the maximum imbalance between the most on a hard drive and the least on a hard drive?
No, it's
or
the
per
most
OSD?
on the OSD, not the drive, an OSD to the average.
Okay.
Let's see if that makes sense. I mean, that I got that from somewhere. So let's look at the storage statistics. And
I just noticed the imbalance was about 1 hard drive's worth. So that's why
one OSD's worth, one OSD's worth. So it looks like from the least to the most is about 12 something. And what does it say the imbalance is?
11.46.
Okay. But then again, the average is, let's see, total for set one used is this. Let's put this in our calculator. Where's calculator? Let's just use spreadsheet. Total equals that divided by 12. Okay, so the average is 11,949 gigs. So it looks like it is comparing it to the average. You see how I'm getting that? Let's go back to status and reports. And store statistics. And let's scroll down. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. You see total for set 1. You see used, that used number right there. It's 13. Well, as of the moment I copied, it was 137,939. I divided that by 12 and got 11,494. Subtract 38 from that. And what does it say that the imbalance is right now on the Blendset page?
It's a little over 11.
All right, taking the capacity used by that OSD. Yeah, that's what I get. I think that confirms that it's using the average. If it was using the maximum, it would be over 12 and change. Okay, so it is the average. So that is accurate. Okay, so do you have any questions about replacing an OSD? That was pretty painless because, of course, all we did was reinitialize a perfectly healthy OSD. But except for the physical work, the software steps that we take should be just as easy. Okay, now let's replace a director. So let's see which one we're going to replace. I want to try to make this a little bit easy on us. Let's replace ASD 1.2 so our GUI doesn't disappear. On us. What are we going to do to 1.2? First.
So we need to move volume services and move it off the rep set.
That's right.
I don't
You can
know
do
if there
them in
was an
any
order
order
to
that
those.
you want.
Okay. I'm not sure where those things are. I guess
okay.
storage
want,
for.
Yeah, hardware for the rep set. And you want to do the rep set or the volume services first?
Volume service.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to find.
That's right. So it's service ownership.
Ah.
So let's filter in our search for ASD 1.2. Okay. So it is the primary on one director, and it is the backup on 2. of them. Do you agree with that?
Yep.
Okay, so we need, which service are we, should we move to replace this OSD?
We should move this one.
That's right. And which director are we going to move it to? If we had 8 directors, we'd have a lot of choices, but in this case, there is kind of an obvious choice. Although we could actually, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can get rid of your search to kind of get an overall view of things. So what are the pros and cons of moving it to the other 2 directors each?
I mean, we can either move it to ASD 1.1 or 1.3.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Which is the backup director for that volume service?
Yeah. ASD 1.1.
Let's look at that. Highlight that volume service that you're thinking about moving. That's not the one, is it?
Well, I was thinking of moving this one, yes.
Yeah, so what's the backup director for that volume service?
ASD 1.1.
No, you just moved your cursor up a row. Go straight to the right.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1.3.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is why we do the lab. You go straight across, and this is not a one-to-one relationship between directors. This is, you see, there's the primary directors and then there's the backups. So if we move it to 1.3, the president's going to have to do a double move. He's going to have to reassign a different backup. If we were doing this long term, we would probably, and we wanted it on 1.3 instead of 1.1, we would probably move the backup first, but we're just replacing this. I would suggest we move the primary to 1.1. If we do that, 1.1 will have 2 primaries plus a little one plus a backup. That's a little bit overloaded, but we're just replacing it for a moment here, so I think it's okay. So we're going to choose. That's right. Now we're going to choose which director we're going to move it to. It just happens to already be on 1.1. And we're going to press what button?
Move service.
That's right.
Could not retrieve VSM information.
Huh.
I think it's still trying to do something though. There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
It did it.
Yeah. Oh, it meant that it couldn't display the new. All right. It hasn't shown it as being moved yet. The GUI is kind of behind when showing volume services. If you will pop up your PanClass session, the vol service, all one word, VOL, yeah, service, space list. That clearly shows that move to 1.1 has completed. Okay. All right, let's look at the GUI again and see if it's caught up.
Yep.
Yes, it has. Okay. That's all that's required. However, I want to, well, actually, we will move backups when we balance. But let's just make sure that we're not totally overloaded. 1.1 is has 3 primaries, but one of them is the little root, and it's got 1 backup. So it is overloaded, but I think it's okay just for replacing this. If we were not going to replace something for a week, we would probably need to make some other adjustments. So now let's search for ASD 1.2 again and see if it's hosting any primary volume services. Okay, is it?
No.
Yeah, okay. The reason why I don't recommend moving the backups is there's just more to undo after you have replaced it. Okay, so we've done our task with the volume service. Once we replace this, volumes are not going to go down. They are going to, we are going to get warnings about volume service disabled because the backup's going to disappear, but we can live with that. Okay, now what else do we need to do?
Move it off the rep set.
That's right.
Is that in hardware?
It is. And this is very difficult. What are you going to do? I'm teasing you.
Remove.
Okay, that's right. I chose one too, because, yep. Okay, look, the GUI didn't even restart or anything. There was no impact. If we had moved either of the other two, if we'd moved the president, then the GUI would disappear for a couple seconds until mConsole was restarted. If we removed 1.1, that's mConsole, and theoretically the GUI would restart on another, but your gateway is tied to 1.0, so your lab access would be down. So that's why we're not doing that one. Okay, so let's look at 1.2's page, and let's see if it is hosting any IP addresses. Yep. Okay, so under networking, I don't see any IP addresses. We'll look and see what that looks like in our next section on NFS. So now what are we going to do?
Are we good to bring it down at this point?
We are.
So a halt.
That's right.
All right. Okay.
All right. So it's not going to take the realm long at all to notice that this director is down as soon as it actually halts, because the president polls. We only knew that the OSD was offline because I was accessing the volumes. If the realm was totally idle, it wouldn't notice it for a while. But the directors, the president polls them all the time because they're very important. All right, so it's not responding. Let's pop over to the volume services page and look and see what's happening. Okay, look, go to service. First of all the volumes are online. We see that we've got 2 alerts. What are those alerts?
The backups are disabled.
That's right. So now let's go to the service ownership. Okay, it shows a warning, but it still shows ASD 1.2 as the backup, which it should not show. If you pop up your PanCli session and go vault service list again, you will see something that is more, no backup. That is why we use PanCli when we are troubleshooting volume services. Fine to use the GUI for just managing them. We just look on the volumes page to see if there's any alerts, to see if there's something we should know about. Okay, but the volumes are still all good. You can, they're still online. Losing a backup does not take anything down. It actually takes the volumes down for about a split second, but you would never notice it. All right, let's go back to PanCli. Okay, and let's go to the volumes to verify that they are online. Yeah. Okay, Let's go back to the volume service page to see if it's figured out that there's no backup. Nope. It hasn't. That's all right. So GUI, you're very helpful in telling us what's on what and moving volume services, but you're not very helpful in terms of telling us what's disabled and what's not. Okay, so now what's our next step?
I mean, at that point, you'd replace whatever hardware you wanted, but
Well,
then
we're going to remove the record. On an ASD 100, this is probably not the best step, but on a 200 is, so we're going to keep it simple. So go back to the node detail page. And scroll down. And clear record of node. It didn't error out. It just popped you back, which is nice. Okay. Now, let's say we did whatever we need to do. I'm going to take the screen again. We have no way of SSHing into that node. It is not in the realm. So I'm going to take this. I'll share the wrong one. Okay, so here is my SSH session. That was the going to, that's 202. I need to power it up first. Can you, is this big enough? Can y'all see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It's off. Now I'm going to power it on. This is not the realm. Screwed up the password. Okay. Now I'm going to But even though it's annoying to keep typing that password, I never put it on the command line. Okay, it's not showing anything right now because it's actually not completing powering up. I mean, IPMI is clearly working, but you're not going to get a sole session until the kernel is up. Right. So we've got some activity. Here the kernel comes. It's in the BIOS. By the way, I took these slides out because we were just going on and on and on your ASDs. All the boot stuff goes to the VGA console, not to IPMI, because on FreeBSD, it only goes to one place. On ours, we set it to IPMI because so we can do this in our lab. You can swap that with a little utility on the command if you want IPMI, but most of our customers said that they wanted that on the VGA. All right, it's up. So let's, we still need this because I'll just show you the realm. Oh, look, it did show up because it is a known it is a known data. It got its very same IP address, so it is accessible, but it is. We see this warning. It needs to be reinitialized. So why don't you grab the share again? It's still kind of booting, but okay. So now we can, in fact, reinitialize this with the remote command, just like you did with the OSD. We'll try that. In some circumstances, it may not work. So you'll need a pane class session. You see offline needs reinit. That's because, actually, I'm not sure why I did that. I mean, we didn't do anything to it except for, we removed it from the realm, but it has existing data. So a configured node that is joining the realm is never allowed in. We must reinitialize it. That's why I did that. I mean, if we had really replaced half of it, we needed to reinit it anyway. But if we clear the record and then boot it up, it clearly says that. So all signs point in that direction. Okay, so let's bring up your pane class session. Okay, it's going to be the same command, only this time it's ASD12. As a matter of fact, let's do sysmap space node space ASD 1-2 just to ASD, right. Okay, it's an offline needs reinit. So now we can reinitialize that one. Syscontrol space, exactly, that one. Only we're going to change it to ASD. Okay, it's syscontrol, not map. Yeah. Okay, yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And down it goes. And by the way, it says NVDM is not configured, nothing to do because it never joined the realm. So you can look at the GUI again. And I expect it to show what? Well, not yet. There you go.
Yeah, it's all blank.
That's right, because the node is not in the realm anymore. So it's better than where it just aired out. But let's go back to the hardware page. I'm not quite sure why it's opening a separate page every single time. And again, missing slot again. Because anytime you initialize the node, the president removes the record from the database. We do not have to unlock the realm like we did in adding enclosures because this is a known enclosure. We said in the adding enclosures that it would not be allowed to join the realm, but this is a node, a known node. It has, this is like we replaced the hard drive. The the hardware serial number is the same. That's why it just joined. If we were really replacing this and it had a different hardware serial number, we may have had to attach a console and do the reinitialization from there. But we didn't. As a matter of fact, rather than do this remotely, we will use the local command. So should be coming online pretty soon because it's getting its it says it has its IP address. There it is. Okay. Okay, now on your pan class session. Oh, it's syncing. Oh, it's we already read it. Okay, that's right. I'm losing track of where we are. Clock sync not activated. It's got to finish its boot. Power, node power is not. Node power failure protection is not ready. That means this you only see this on an ASD 100 because on the SMC Supermicro nodes, this all happens in the BIOS. But here we're waiting for the SuperCap to charge. And low battery not activated. That is a state that we designed for storage and director blades, but we have a whole lot of code tied to it. So we also use it for the ASDs, even though they don't have a battery. This means the SuperCap is not quite ready. And it cannot come online until the SuperCap is ready because it would not be able to save its critical transaction logs. Just because I'm curious, I am tailing all.log. Nothing interesting. Says it's got its clock synced. Here, I'll grab the screen just so we'll have something to look at. This is tail F, although I CD'd into var log, tail F all.log, so it's not really doing anything. This get dev info, it's just populating its properties with its configuration. Here's my version, here's the realm ID. Just said that I've got my clock synced. See what the lines above that. I'm going to ask for the last 200 lines of all.log. Okay, so here we were shutting things down. we said, I want you to, Mr. President, I want you to, or Ms. President, I want you to poll me, requesting a brick poll. I have, where is, oh, now that's interesting. It said that the NVDIM is not good. So let's do this. Abbreviated service mode. Looky here. And now, why don't you grab the screen back and show us what the node says. Now it's not just waiting for power protection. It is now not responding, not activated. That is because it set itself to plus failed because the check on the NVDIM failed. So it is in plus failed, not responding. So why don't you open an SSH into that session, into that node. It's .11. You can exit that one if you want, or just open a new one, whichever you wish. Okay, and go into service mode, support, space, service mode, space, yes. Or you could just say yes, all right, and property. All right, what do you see there that you shouldn't see? Or that we didn't particularly want to see? I mean, if it's really the case, we want it to know, but what you see that's unusual?
Yeah, didn't you say the plus failed sometimes happens,
Yeah,
but
and
not necessarily
we're
the plus
seeing that.
config?
I mean, these ASDs are kind of old. I mean, these were one of the first ones made. This was a proof of concept system, and it's actually traveled a few places before it came back home to our lab. So it may actually be failed, but this is just a demo round. We're going to give it another shot. We're going to clear the plus failed property. So we're going to go property space minus failed. Okay, turn. All right, now just do property again, and you can see that it is now clear, but it doesn't implement until you reboot it. So just reboot. Yeah. Now I'm going to grab the screen again, and we can look at the console. Here it is, it's going down, NVDIM teardown, I'm mounting the file system. This is what I saw when I went up and looked, that even, I mean, once I saw that it was not responding, I would have known to check the property because, well, it's not gonna let me scroll up. See, it says rebooted by admin. There are some, on the ASD 100, we handle this in software. When we reboot, we disarm it and erase it because we can do it faster. On the ASD 200, all the supermicro nodes, that's all done in the BIOS, not by software. That's because the NVDIM was, here we go. Do you see this? Persistent NVDIM health and supercap check failure about 5 lines from the down. Run event. system failed, set property system failed. It's very verbose. Pan monitor is kind of like the init of a Panasys node. And there we go. There's our reboot. You'll notice that this one is not, and the other one did not stay in CPU as long as it said. We've got something a little flaky with our management network. I need to straighten that out, see why those sessions are timing out. It may actually be the host that I keep going through. All boot messages. The boot messages on just about any node, but especially Panasys nodes, are very, very, very verbose. Don't worry about this failing to start Watchdog. All right, you can log in, admin and min. You can see it's still printing some boot messages to the console, but it's not going to be putting all that much. Okay, did you log in? You just press return to get a prompt.
I have not logged in. Are you asking
Okay,
me?
oh, it's me. Duh. But I'm losing track. Notice that the GUI has updated and it's said, hey, I'm booting. And the node rebooted. And again, it's unavailable and the power protection is not ready. Let's you see that I was lazy and only said the S. Okay, it's not failed, but it's not yet updated the president to say I'm now good. So the president still has it as not, oh, now it's not back to low battery. Oh, not tailing anything. There you go. Let's see what has happened. Oh, all right, look, we started the recon worker. We must have done better this time. There's no way it would be starting services.
Yep,
there we
showing
go.
Online.
Yeah, okay. So it made it this time. We're not quite sure what to make of that failure. If this were a production system, we would probably replace the directory if it gave that if it gave that warning. All right, you can go ahead and grab the screen back and share back. I knew it was online. You see this recon worker running? There's no way Pan Manager is allowed to start if it's not online. Okay, so now what? We're back online. There were some things we needed to do after things are replaced.
So did it become a director again?
It's always a director.
Okay. So then we just need to give it back its
That's
volume
right.
services and...
That's right. It
Yeah.
knows it's a director from its hardware ID. It looks it up in a table and says, yes, I'm a director. So it starts the proper services, but the president allows it to start the particular volume services. All right, we can balance those first. So you can see that how many primary volume services does this ASD12 have?
None.
Exactly. So ASD11 has 3 and ASD13 has 1. So we really want to give it one of the ones that is on 1, 1. And we probably want to give it one of the full volume services. I mean, we could just do it things easily and just give it the same one that we had before, but let's just evaluate it from scratch here. As a matter of fact, you can see that 1, 2 is not even on a backup either. The president, while it was when we reinitialized it, the president said it's gone, and the president reassigned all those backups. Okay, so we could give it 20 or 0B. It really doesn't matter. You know, home. This is not the M console, and it's not going to be the president. I would give it one of the. I would give it home, because that's probably going to be the highest metadata. Exactly. I would give it that one. Okay. So you've chosen that, you've chosen that, and you're going to exactly. Okay. Now what's up? I do not know why that's showing is that the realm is not showing any warnings. If you pop over your PanCli session and do vol service list, your PanCli set, yeah, that one. You can see that the vol services are perfectly fine. This is on ASD12. All right, so let's see if the primary volume services are now balanced. Okay, so it got rid of that warning triangle. It was just a little behind. So I would sort this. You can see the default sort. Yes, exactly. So how many does volume services does each director have?
Basically one of each.
Yes.
One has the root as well, but
Exactly. So I think those are pretty balanced. One of the directors is going to have more than one, and as long as it's the little one for the root, that's fine. However, let's look at the backups and the total assignments. How many backup assignments does ASD12 have?
0.
Exactly. And how many total volume services, primary and backup, does it have?
1.
Exactly. So it's not pulling its weight. And the other 1.3 has 1 primary, 3 backups, 4 total. 1.1 has 2 primaries, 1 backup, 3 total. 1.1 I'm kind of satisfied with. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think 1.1 is well balanced?
Yes.
Okay. It's got 1 major, 1 full volume service, 1 full backup, plus the little root. That's pretty good. 1.3 has a full volume service, the little backup for root, and 2 major ones. So I would suggest that we move the backup on which volume service to 1.2.
I'd go with this one.
I agree. All right, so let's move the backup. Okay. And which button? Yes, there you go. And we know, even though we don't totally trust the volume service list on this, we see that the realm is green. And if there were problems with the volume service, the other page would know about it. Okay, so is that showing the backup on one? It's not yet. Okay. So still not yet. If you run vol service list in PanCli, you'll see that it is accurate. Just looking at it in PanCli, do you think that everything's balanced now?
Yep, looks good.
I think it's good. I think it's good. Okay. So are we finished with volume services?
Yes.
What else do we need to do?
The rep set.
Exactly. So let's go there. Okay, so what are we going to do? You see, this is not a system warning, but when you go to the page, you get the nag thing. Yeah, exactly. Let's see how long that takes that to complete. And this is not a GUI delay. There really is a delay. There's a lot of stuff going on. Got to copy a lot of, we got to make some directories on 1.2. We got to, well, there we go. It didn't take that long. All righty. So if 1.2 had been the M console would not have failed back to it because we actually removed it from the rep set. We would use a low-level command to move M console to 1.2 if we wanted to, but we're not going to go into that. Okay. Are there questions about this? Well done. Okay, I'm going to toggle the recording.